Hello people sitting there, how's all doing today? I have a face cam. Yoo-hoo. But as in not good news, I suppose. So as everybody knows now, because it's all over the news, now the two brothers and a sister were evicted from a house in roscommon because they didn't pay their rent for the last, don't know, since 2015. And it's the 17th now, and Christmas is soon coming up. And it was done by British law enforcement agency, or whatever you would call them, repossessors or whatever. But it is, and I'm going to put it very straight, I don't really care what the Minister for Justice or anything says. In my opinion, the way the 8 people were injured, apart from the elderly couple, it was a sinful thing to do, even if it's the law or not. It's a really sinful thing. This country has a housing crisis. Has no houses to put people into. And you expect an old woman, an elderly man and elderly woman, to go out in the streets. Like, what kind of democracy is that? Seriously. So I don't see it. An elderly couple living on the streets. Like, I don't get it. Like, in my opinion, if there's a housing crisis, then forbid. Why is Uachtaráin the hell on himself up in the hours? I haven't heard shit from him. And I'm putting it very simple. These are people who lived in the Republic all their life. God knows where the feck Michael D. Higgins is. He's the head of state. If that was me, I'd be poking my nose in to see what's going on and see these people who are citizens of Ireland to see if they're okay. But no. And I say to the local guards and the local Gardaí down there that it's a disgrace. And I say to the Minister for Justice too, it's a disgrace. And you should be ashamed. I know the law is the law, and people should enforce the law. I understand that. I completely understand that if we didn't have law, it'd be this. But to get rid of somebody near Christmas is a really, really bad sin. And to do this, send 8 law enforcement agencies along with guards, is a ridiculous thing. And no wonder the gang came along and kicked the shit out of them. Because if that was me, I wouldn't be very happy. Especially older people. If you bought one person, I bet you, they would have come peacefully. But where would they put them? Would they just kick them out in the street? Tear all the furniture out? Kick them out? That's what they would have done. And that's why I have a face cam. Because you can really tell, and I can really tell by looking at myself, that I'm not very pleased with it. Like it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And I can see why the people of Stroke Town is absolutely enraged. And I can see why local politicians are enraged. I can see why half the country's enraged at this. And it's only because half the country's enraged that they're allowed to go back into the house. But the way it was done remind me of the Black and Tans and how they used to pull the people out of the houses and burn the houses. That's nearly what they would have done yesterday. To try and get them out. Because these are British enforcements. They think that terrorising older people and terrorising communities are the best policy. And I say to the guards, have a heart. These people might not have been able to pay for it. But where is the county council? What's common county council? What are they doing? Seriously. If that was me, if I was the county council in Roscommon, I'd be like, what's going on here? I have to get myself involved. I've been elected by people. I have to do my job. But no. Well, they did, some TDs down there did, and I give them credit, they did get involved very quickly. But as I said, and the Garda Commission said, violence would not do any good. It would just escalate the situation, make it worse. But in this case, I think it made it better. Because people were absolutely enraged with the way it was carried out and the way what happened. And if it didn't happen, people wouldn't ever been heard about. And it's just simple as that. And to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you this very straight to everybody who is facing the fiction or anything. Get your community behind you. Because we have to put a stop to evictions. There's a housing crisis in this country. Even if the guards, as they say, protests are not against the law. Refusing to stand against corrupt systems is not against the law. Because we are a democracy. As you see, we have our own flag, our own nation, in which we take pride on all our counties. And we should take pride in our buildings, which people had to build. Because everybody on this island deserves to have a house. No, if anybody gets evicted in your community or your town or your city, you go out and stand outside their house, and if the guards or anybody comes, you stand there like a stone wall and say, I will not move. You have to kill me, or you have to shoot me, or you have to arrest me, but I will not budge. And it's my democratic right not to move. Because this is unjustified. You go and sit down with these people and you talk it out, instead of coming in here with a big tough boy attitude. Because that's how you get people. You stand like a stone wall saying nothing. That terrifies people more. Violence is not the answer to this. Refusing to let them in is the answer to this. Not squatting in the building and taking over the building like it's a rebellion, let's just say. Standing at the gates and refusing to let them in is an act of defiance. It's an act of power. Because if a community, if there's 900 people standing at one gate and there's about 50 guards, it's just plain simple. We have nowhere to put people. There's no emergency accommodations are full enough, especially in the counties in Ireland. Like in the cities, it's alright. I know local communities do their best to help each other, but there's only so much they can do. And the only thing I say to people is, our refusal is our pride and our democratic right. And in our constitution, it says our basic rights must be met. And our basic right, and one of them we hold so dearly, we might not think about it. Housing. We might take it for granted, me, in this house here, which was made, we might take it for granted. But we should think about it. Some people, like these poor people who could have been lying on the street, could have been, only for this, because we never would have heard of it. Could have been. I use could have been. But it just shows you, we don't know what's happening in every part of Ireland. And we should try and put a stop to evictions. Because this is back in the famine. We're going doing things since the famine generations. It's time for change and it's time for action. Because unless the government gets their act together with housing, no, that's different. I wouldn't have a problem if they had evicted somebody and they had a house. They at least had social accommodation which were cheaper and all that. I would understand that completely and give them a stable job and all that. That's understandable. I would praise that if that happened. But no, they didn't give them anywhere to stay. Sure, they never heard of anybody saying, "Oh, we put you up in this B&B until you can get a house." So I really don't know, but I really feel sorry for these pensioners, and I really hope they can stay there for the foreseeable future. And let's hope that somebody can please pay off this loan for them. Maybe some nice poor person might do something for them, and maybe the community might raise money for them. But if there's a community fund, I might just donate myself to it. If it is, if anybody says to me, I might donate. So yeah, my heart and soul is with the family, with the two men and the woman. My heart and soul is with you, and we can only pray and we can only hope for them to be healthy and to live in peace on this island. Because all of us face difficult times. Like they couldn't afford to pay for 5 years. We could just only take, if we were in that situation tomorrow, what would we do? What would they pay, the guards and everybody else do? They would do the same. Let's put it under pressure. People would do the same. We can't judge people for what they don't do, and for what they do, because in that time, in that place, we might look back and say it's wrong, but in that time, in that place, it is right. Thank you.